Deshawn had made precisely 3 mistakes in his life that actually mattered. The first was volunteering for the Terran diplomatic corps. The second was accepting the assignment to the Volturian homeworld. The third was sitting in the wrong chair. In his defense, the amphitheater of the Grand Assembly was a labyrinth of crystalline seats, arranged in concentric circles, each one seemingly identical to the last. The translation device in his ear had malfunctioned somewhere. Between "please proceed to your designated station" and "the Queen will arrive momentarily," he'd picked a seat near the center, figuring it was safe, unremarkable, exactly where a low-level human observer should be. He realized his error. The moment the chamber fell silent, the Volturians were a species that had mastered faster-than-light travel before humanity had discovered fire. Their ships bent space-time like origami. Their technology was so advanced it seemed like magic. Their queen, Aubriella of the 7th Star Dynasty, had ruled for 300 years and commanded the respect of 1,000 worlds. She was also walking directly toward him. Deshawn's heart hammered against his ribs. The assembled delegates, beings of chitin and light and forms he couldn't even properly categorize, all turned their various sensory organs in his direction. He tried to stand, to mumble an apology, to do anything that might salvage this disaster, but his legs had apparently resigned from his service. Queen Aubriella moved with the fluid grace of someone who had never questioned their place in the universe. Her form was vaguely humanoid: 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, but the similarities ended. Her skin held the deep purple blue of a nebula at twilight, and her eyes were twin galaxies, literally swirling with points of light. She wore robes that seemed woven from starlight itself. She stopped directly in front of him. "You're in my seat," she said softly. Her voice bypassed his malfunctioning translator entirely, arriving in his mind like a thought he'd always had. Yes. "Your Majesty, I'm so sorry, I didn't." Deshawn finally managed to rise, stumbling over the words and his own feet simultaneously. But then something impossible happened. Aubriella sat down beside him instead of reclaiming her throne. The amphitheater erupted in whispers, clicks, harmonics of confusion. She turned those galaxy eyes on him, and Deshawn felt like he was falling into deep space. "What is your name?" she asked. Deshawn Martinez. From Earth, Terran Diplomatic Corps, Lower Administrative Support Division." He was babbling. "I really should move, Your Majesty. This is completely..." Her hand found his. It was warm, surprisingly so, and the touch sent a jolt through his entire nervous system. Not painful, something else. Something that felt like recognition. "Stay," she whispered. The word landed with the weight of a command that could move fleets, but her tone held something different. Pleading, almost desperate. Deshawn stayed. The assembly proceeded around them like a river flowing around stones. Delegates gave reports. Disputes were mediated. Treaties were signed. Through it all, Aubriella's hand remained in his, and Deshawn became increasingly aware that this was not normal protocol. The glances being thrown their way ranged from scandalized to terrified. "Your Majesty," he whispered during a particularly long speech about mining rights in the Keltara system. "I don't understand what's happening." "Neither do they," Aubriella replied, a hint of something that might have been amusement in her voice. "Do you know what the Volturians are, Deshawn Martinez of Earth?" "Advanced, powerful, old, dying," she corrected. "We have lived too long in perfection. Our technology sustains us, but we have forgotten how to feel, how to hope, how to fear. We are efficient, productive, and utterly hollow." Her grip on his hand tightened. "I have sat in this chair for 3 centuries, and I have not felt anything for the last 200 years. Until you sat beside me." Deshawn's mind raced. Humanity was nothing in the galactic scheme. Newcomers barely out of their own solar system. Primitive and short-lived. What could he possibly offer a being like her? "I don't understand," he said again. "You made a mistake," Aubriella said. And now there was definitely wonder in her voice. An actual, genuine error born of confusion and technical malfunction. "Do you know how long it's been since I witnessed a mistake? Since I made one? We have optimized error out of existence. We have calculated away spontaneity. We have become, in our perfection, less than alive." She turned to face him fully, and the assembly proceedings ground to a halt. Every being in the chamber was watching now. Your species is young, Deshaun Martinez. You break things. You fail. You try anyway. You hope against evidence. You love without logic. Her free hand reached up to touch his face, and her expression was one of profound sadness mixed with something that looked like hunger. You are messy and inefficient, and you die so quickly it seems like a cruel joke. And you are the most alive things I have encountered in 300 years. I'm just a guy who sat in the wrong chair, Deshaun said weakly. Yes, Aubriella agreed. And I am a queen who has forgotten how to live. Perhaps we can teach each other. She stood, pulling him up with her, and addressed the assembly in a voice that resonated through the chamber. I am declaring a recess, a long one. I'm going to make some mistakes. The amphitheater erupted in chaos, protests, shock, confusion in 1,000 different formats. Aubriella ignored them all, her hands still firmly holding Deshaun's. Your Majesty, one of her advisors began. The human word is Aubriella, she said. I would like to be called that, at least for a while. She looked at Deshaun, galaxies swirling in her eyes. Will you teach me about mistakes, Deshaun Martinez? About imperfection and hope and all the beautiful, terrible things that come with being alive. Deshaun thought about his 3 mistakes. Joining the Corps, accepting this assignment, sitting in the wrong chair. Maybe they weren't mistakes after all. Yeah, he said, squeezing her hand. I can do that. And so the Queen of the Volturians, ruler of 1,000 worlds and master of technologies beyond human comprehension, walked out of the Grand Assembly hand in hand with a low-level administrative assistant from Earth, who had sat in the wrong chair, behind them. The delegates dissolved into arguments about protocol and precedent and propriety. Neither of them looked back. Sometimes the greatest revolutions begin with the smallest errors. Sometimes salvation comes from the least expected places. And sometimes, a queen who has forgotten how to live finds her answer in the hand of someone who only just learned. He was brave enough to stay. Humanity, in all its messy, imperfect, gloriously flawed existence, had just taught the galaxy's most advanced civilization the most important lesson of all. That being alive means embracing the beautiful disaster of it all. And it started because Deshaun sat in the wrong damn chair.